One day you're going to get a video about Hellboy comics.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Now, we have watched, if you know our YouTube channel, long time ago, we watched 9 Hellraiser movies. We talked about them for like 3.5 hours.
I think I watched 7. I tapped out. No, I watched 8. I just didn't watch 9.
Surprisingly, a lot of people have found that over the years that our podcast about Hellraiser. So we watched 9. Now we have watched 10.
Probably should have stopped a long time ago.
So Ryan.
10.
Well, no, at least I watched 10. After watching 10 Hellraiser movies, what the hell is Hellraiser? Now, we've already used that joke before,
What the hell is Hellraiser?
but some people might not have watched the Hellraiser comic book video, so I'm going to use it again. Yes, we're going to talk about Hellraiser Judgement today.
Because somebody cares.
I'm going to talk about the whole movie, all the plot points, spoilers.
Because we have to.
Yeah, right? You know, I mean, like, we're part of this now. It's like ingrained in us. We're a little late. It came out about a month ago. I got sick. I think you got sick. We're both alive now, and we watched it, and we're here to talk about it with you guys.
Because there's not really an easy way to watch it. Well, you have to just buy it.
Or not
Did we ever-
Netflix if you get
Yeah,
Netflix
Netflix.
discs. There's no streaming. It's not on Amazon Prime, which was
You
really
probably get it at a Redbox.
yeah, but it was really confusing because the press releases or whatever were saying like it'll be on Blu-ray and DVD and everything February 13th and and streaming video on demand services.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kept like, well, hey, have you heard anything? Like, is it a cable box? Is it Netflix? Like, what video on demand? Nope, there's no video on demand. As far as I can tell, we couldn't
maybe
find
there
it.
is now, but like at least the night before the actual home video release, could not find anything about where you could watch this without having to leave your house.
Or like
So-
Crackle, Hulu,
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. No,
which is a little weird because it just seems like a direct-to-video, video on VOD like thing.
Right, and after Cult of Chucky premiered on Netflix the same day as the Blu-ray release, which
Right.
seemed weird, but actually worked out. I mean, I ended up buying the Blu-ray after watching it on Netflix, you know? So, yeah, it took us a little while because we didn't want to rush out and buy Hellraiser Judgment. And like, here's my 30 hard-earned dollars.
I've seen enough Hellraiser movies.
And the reviews were coming out like weeks in advance.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were getting them and they were like, yeah, you know, but
It seemed kind of mixed. I don't think everybody was like outright.
some people were like, hey, Hellraiser's back. And I'm thinking like, I don't believe you.
I felt like it sounded like to me that it was not the worst, but not
Right.
the best. And then when I watched it, it was not the worst and not the best.
Yeah. So here we are. Let's do this. First, I want to say thank you to all our patrons for Patreon. That's what those things are. They're together. Patreon, get it. Anyways, this is a free video. We don't charge for things like this. This is just us talking for a short while. But yes, I want to thank you guys because we have this new microphone here and this new recording box here and this big battery backup down here that you guys can't see. But thanks to you guys, I've spent a lot of money buying new equipment, and hopefully it'll make our lives a little bit easier, and we can take this on the road and maybe a little field trip.
Woohoo!
Maybe we'll do something at a comic book convention.
Maybe.
Not Comic-Con.
No promises.
No, we're not going to Comic-Con.
Nobody gets to ever go to San Diego Comic-Con ever again.
So with that, before we begin, what did you think about Hellraiser Judgment? Just give it a straight, what's your quick 5-word review?
It's aight.
It's all right. I'm going to go with, I like parts of it.
Yeah.
Bam! Just like that. That's all there is to it, Dustin. That's all there is to it. A winner. Just like
Yeah, that's... I like parts of
I
it.
didn't hate the parts I didn't like.
I didn't hate them either.
Okay.
And I didn't love the parts that I liked.
Right.
But I did like parts, and I was bored parts.
I wasn't bored, actually. I think I was more, you know, when we first saw, I think, the trailer, and you see the detective, you know, the coming in with the guns, and Ryan's first reaction is just like, another movie where they're investigating murders. Can we stop with this?
Please, it's the fucking worst with the Hellraiser. Just no more. Just stop. And this one was really 7 about it. It was like the most 7 about it out of any of the franchise movies.
And see, I just dismiss it as like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So it's not that like, oh, I hate this. It's just like, well, what did I expect? This isn't going to be great.
I mean, they got to do something. Obviously, they got shoestring budget, and they got to do something.
Let's do a little. So Revelations was the one that came out in 2011 or something like that. The one that everyone poo-poos is the worst. I mean, it is. It's absolutely garbage. I poo-pooed it in our podcast. It's just like the worst thing I've ever seen. That was made, with like a month, not a full month, but like, hey, we need to have this movie done in a month from right now.
Is this one of those things where, to keep the rights or whatever, they needed to shit one out?
Yeah, so they had to shit one out just to retain the rights to Hellraiser Dimension films, right? So, budget was like $200,000. They didn't care about who was in it or who directed it or who wrote it or anything. It was just, this needs to be done in like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, get it done. The guy who wrote Revelations wrote and directed Judgment. So your first inkling is like, oh no, there's like talent attached to both of these movies. But he also wrote like Deader and like 7 and 8. I don't know. He's the makeup specialist guy. I don't know how far back. I didn't look, but he's been doing Doug Bradley's Pinhead makeup for at least like 5 movies.
He's no spring chicken when it comes to. Wait. No, he is. No, I don't know how that saying goes.
He's not old. He's not young.
He's had some time with the Hellraiser. Yes. It's not his first time to the Hellraiser rodeo. Huh? Is that okay? That works.
Is that a joke?
Works. We're gonna keep going.
Is that a joke?
It's something.
Oh, okay.
It's alliteration at least. No, it's not alliteration.
It's not alliteration.
Shit. Hellraiser and rodeo. That kind of there's a little bit going on there.
Hellraiser rodeo revolution.
Moving on.
So he's been part of the series. He loves it. He's a big fan of it because he's been working on it for a long time. So it's not like he just grabbed some random guy. They got someone who's a Hellraiser aficionado, I guess you could say.
And I think
he knows Clive Barker. Like I said, I don't know if he went all the way back to the first movie, but he's been doing the makeup since at least like 3 or 4. One of the jokes was, I think it was in 4. One of the guys came in to do his makeup or whatever, and he was like, he saw the poster for 3 on the wall in the dressing room. He's like, they made a 3rd one? And he's like, oh, this guy didn't realize he was in like the 4th movie in a franchise, because they were talking about like who, making this one. Who's like, yeah, I want to be in the 10th movie in a franchise.
Yeah.
It's hard to find talent who's going to be excited for that. So I get it. This guy's cool. I give him a lot of credit. Yes.
It wasn't like it was a very sincere attempt to make a good Hellraiser movie, and I think a lot of that shows through.
I mean, what you were saying earlier is if you go back to Revelations, the movie's terrible, and it has script problems. But when I started thinking about the way he talked about it, and when he wrote the script for this one, his treatments that he wrote before, and dealing with studio execs, I'm kind of like, you know what? Kind of like his script for 9. I kind of get what he was going for. It's just the movie turned out so bad because it was rushed with no money, and he was not involved in making the film. He was off shooting another movie, and they could not wait because they had to get it done. That was the whole thing. It was like, you cannot delay it 3 weeks. It has to be done. This is the same thing. This movie was made again to retain the rights, but they weren't in a rush this time. He had time to prep, had time to get actors. The budget was like $350, I think. So you go, okay, well, where's Doug Bradley, right? What happened to Pinhead in the last one is gone. That was a whole thing. Doug Bradley talked a lot of shit about Dimension, the executives, just everything about that movie. The script was bad and all these things. And so he called him up this time and said, hey, look, so they offered him $5,000 for Revelations. And he just was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, it just immediately like, who do you think I am, right? And so he called him this time and said, hey, we have some more money. Like, we can actually probably pay you a decent salary. But he's like, from the very get-go, he didn't seem like he cared. He was just like, why are you working with those assholes?
Yeah.
Like, why are you entertaining them on this stuff? So Doug Bradley does not want to do Pinhead anymore, basically. So,
and some people just on that principle alone are not even going to bother with this.
Which is weird, and I get it, because Doug Bradley kind of is the soul. Paul Taylor's the guy who played Pinhead in this movie. I think he did a good job.
Yeah, I think he was fine.
I think if they make another one after this, whatever, and they cast this guy again, I'm okay with it. Yeah. I think this guy is totally fine Pinhead. Doug Bradley, if you want to come back for another one, if they actually have real money one day to make a real reboot and you want to do it, I would love to have you back, but here's the thing. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, because honestly, we have someone to replace you with. Paul Taylor's okay. He's good enough.
He's fine.
Yeah.
It's the makeup that does all the work. You just need to,
Yeah. He's another English actor with an English accent, actor. Yeah. So, anyways, let's get to Hellraiser Judgement, the actual movie.
That's not really disrespectful. Like Doug, like if it's just the makeup and Doug Bradley, it's not important at all.
If you watch Revelations and you see the makeup they did on that guy,
yeah,
and his facial structure, there's no amount of acting that guy could do to make
Right.
up for it. This guy has a very good face, good bone structure.
Right.
You know, right amount of like. He has the right amount of face.
Right.
It's the perfect amount of face. You
Yeah.
know?
He's got the right line delivery and, you know.
Yeah, like I said, he has the right accent and everything. So, with all that said, that's kind of the back end of making Judgment. Let's get into the movie itself. Take it away. What happens in Hellraiser? What is Hellraiser Judgment about?
Hellraiser Judgment is about.
I have plenty of notes.
I would say there's two halves. This is the whole movie can be wrapped up in these two statements.
Okay.
The bureaucracy of hell
Yeah.
and Seven style police investigation. That's it. Like that, you took that, you took the other thing, and you went like this, and that's Hellraiser Judgment.
Yeah, it is. I didn't even think about Seven as all the biblical stuff and the deadly sins.
No,
and
literally,
whatnot.
it was like, oh, he's got this many sins left, and it's
It's the seven deadly sins, all right.
yeah. I don't know where they got the 10. Oh, because he was doing the commandments. That's
I was going to say there wasn't the deadliest sins. I was going to ask you
Ten
which one it was.
Commandments. So the movie
and another
and then on that tip, the bureaucracy of hell stuff.
Speaking of tips, check out the scene from Hellraiser 2.
Is that a penis on his head?
That's a penis on his head.
Watch the Hellraiser video. No, all the bureaucracy of hell stuff is the stuff that I liked, and the Seven police investigation stuff is not terrible, but the stuff I was the least interested in.
There's one of those good stories with this. The writer-director says, when you write a script to give it to executives, you have to hit some kind of genre or familiarity that they know.
Yeah, this meets this.
So they go, oh, I know what that is.
Right.
So
Oh,
I
I
can see
said
it.
Seven was great.
Right, because I guess the original treatment for this is all the stuff that was done, the eating of the all the stuff that
Right.
you see, minus like that.
Right.
Or it might have had some of that in there, but like he had to play that up. So, okay, so what happens in Hellraiser Judgment?
Hellraiser Judgment starts off with how much even Pinhead is so tired of the internet. And
He's in his fucking chair, just like.
he's got like a whole monologue about how people have access to. People are awful. That's it, really. Just like the
wait.
horrible shit that we have access to.
Not even
now.
that the internet. He hates the internet. He's also like, we can use the internet to find new people. Like
Right.
he's gonna use the internet.
It was kind of like both. I didn't quite understand because it was like on one hand it was like my lament configuration. It's like bullshit now. It's like a butt plug. You know, somebody's like, that's so cute. You know, like nobody cares about this
He's
anymore.
like, who's gonna? What is the auditor? Is like, who's gonna pick up a wooden toy to play with anymore?
Right, not when you can go online and see like children fed to alligators and the alligators have sex with each other or something. Like, you know, just I don't know. I tried to think of the most awful thing that I can think of. I'm sure there's way worse things than that.
You've been watching too much Lake Placid.
Yeah, right. Not enough Lake Placid. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So he's like, we're gonna find people. For what?
But
I don't really
it's-
understand.
And we're gonna get a lot to like, we said like, what the hell is Hellraiser? But like, really, we're trying to remember all the movies and what the stuff like the real intricacy of like what is going on with. You know, it's like they're coming to kill you, but they're really not. They're meant to take you on a pleasure ride, but the pleasure is torture.
Yeah.
But there's also things about the thing with the internet was like, let's find the most debauchery, the most like the dirtiest ones we can find. We can find them on the internet.
Right.
Like, why are these? So they're seeking out people who are bad because later he says evil knows how to like
Right.
evil finds evil.
Evil seeks evil.
Yeah.
But like, when were you ever evil? Your whole thing was you were just kind of like
This isn't one of the things
you're
that.
experimenting with pleasure.
Right. You were asking me earlier, and I classify this in the things I did not like about this movie. I don't like it when Hellraiser is taken to a place, where, even though the word hell is in the title, I don't like it when it's taken to a place of theology. I don't like it when it's taken to a place of like good, evil, God, devil, like heaven,
Yeah.
hell. It's not really the way that I think it was intended. I don't think Clive Barker wanted you to.
No, he writing. Is there a new Hellraiser comic or book or something?
I mean, there's always something.
He called it. He remember he asked Clive Barker about the religious stuff, and I think that's something he wanted to do for a treatment for like a reboot or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not actually out of the realm of like.
You're sure. I mean, but like to me, it was always much more Lovecraftian. It was
Yes.
always much more like mysterious and like.
Well, because you think about the term Hellraiser, they're raising hell. They're not in hell. They should be here. They're kind of raising hell.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
just
I
the
don't
cool
know.
name that they like. I mean, the name for the original story was the.
Not the Telltale Heart.
No, God, why am I That's really bad. I'm sorry. I forgot it. It's not Hellraiser, even though I read the novella. I can't. The Hellbound Heart. The Hellbound Heart.
Yeah.
Anyway, when Pinhead and the Cenobites come on the scene, he calls himself and his others explorers.
Yeah.
That was always like really fascinating, because that's not what somebody just from hell would say. They would say like, well, I'm a demon from hell. They're not demons.
Like basically, are we kind of retconning? Like the farther we go down the series, are we kind of changing what Pinhead and the Cenobites represent?
I think so.
Okay, and that's okay. It's just that like it kind of goes at odds with some of the stuff we've seen previously. But then again, I don't remember 9 movies worth over how many years ago. There's some stuff that has skipped my mind, but some stuff kind of comes up like Hellraiser 2 and the idea of the underworld and the Leviathan and all these things. Like they don't really talk about it, but it makes you think back to that. There's something there.
Right.
But yeah, like they're going to seek out
it looks like
evildoers, whereas before the other way around was, you go back to Frank in the first one, it was like he went around the world looking for the most debaucherous stuff he could find.
Yeah, you found them. You brought the genie's lamp. That was the not the other way around.
So it's kind of odd where they talk about.
He even kind of acts like that. He would come on the scene and be like, "Bitch, you called me."
The box. You opened it. We came.
I didn't come
Why are you
looking for you.
Exactly. You opened the box.
I'm here now. Let's get down. Yeah, this one is. It does definitely put them more in like a traditional hell demon role.
Yes.
Where we're trying to get damned souls. We are trying to
that's
collect. Evildoers sort of thing.
It is also interesting though. It's like now we're in the 21st century. Like let's make a movie that's more relevant to today.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where cell phones were invented and you make a horror movie, you're like, well, what about cell phones? Like when they just call someone and you have to like either make your movie in the past or there's no cell reception. This is very much an answer to like, well, not the future, but it's the future for them. It's like farther along. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how it's different. And that's fun.
Yeah, that was okay.
It never plays a role, but
no,
I mean, it's fun.
It was interesting context to put it in. It never, like you said, it never comes up again. But in a way, it kind of informs it because, like, the idea of like the internet makes the mundanity of modernity, like the internet. It's like day-to-day whateverness. Sounds like something you don't want mixed in your Hellraiser. But then the idea again of I'll use the word bureaucracy again. Like the bureaucracy part of the Hellraiser thing, I enjoyed. That to me was a fresh new thing that I hadn't seen in Hellraiser.
It does come up later during like the kind of final confrontation. It's like Pinhead and the main guy.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same, but whatever.
Okay, so anyway, we see what happens when they do get a.
Well, okay, I'm gonna obviously also now the first section of this movie. I'm always gonna shit on. I'm not here to like just go. Here's everything the movie did wrong. Here's where the audio was bad, here's what's bad, but I'm always going to point those things out because to me they're funny and, movie mistakes are just, come on, man. Like, I get that they shot this movie over like 2 weeks and, we shot that scene and you can't really fix that. You can't go back. I get that. But you always think about the intention. Like, you had to be intending. The very first scene ends with Pinhead turning and there's like a little light in his eyes and he, the music swells and then like cuts, but it immediately felt like it swelled and it just immediately cut. Bad.
Yeah.
Like it was just poorly done within the first 30 seconds, first minute of the movie, and I was just like, oh man.
Hey, was there any dirt on the lens?
No. I watched a video today that had some on the lens.
Well.
I was with that. That was something different. There was no okay. If you listen to our Phantasm Ravager or Phantasm podcast, I went off on the 5th Phantasm movie, which was made in 2016, I think. Just about indie filmmaking and the way it looks and colors and things like that. Which Revelations looks like. If you go back and look at Revelations, you look at any other movie in the series, you look at Revelations, it has a different look to it. This movie does not look like a piece of shit.
No, it's got lighting and moody and...
And one of the things is I saw the gag reel on YouTube, and the gag reel is obviously uncolor graded.
Yeah.
They shot everything very flat and like a V-log or an S-log, and I went, okay, they shot it right, and they color graded it. It might not be the best looking movie, but they did it correctly at least.
Yeah, it has like a candlelit quality to it. Well,
I hate the candlelit quality.
Oh, I love it.
I hate those scenes with, like in his apartment. Cause those...
No. I was talking about their little horror house.
Well, those are like incandescent lights, like hanging.
I don't know enough about this shit. You know more better than I do.
They show
you know what I mean when I say it.
No, the yellow.
Yes, it's
yellow.
yellow.
It's very warm.
Yes.
They show it during the title sequence. There's like lights hanging when the filaments and everything.
That's right.
No, later on in the apartment when he's like drinking in front of like candles.
Fuck that. That's not what I meant.
That's what Revelations looks a lot like. It's like candlelit because the power goes out.
That shit's
Anyways,
terrible. No, their house looks cool.
So for the most part, it does look decent. It's not a feature film on a big screen in a theater, but it looks better than indie stuff. Indie, I don't know what to call it.
Sure.
So good job, Tunnicliffe, director. I knew a Tunnicliffe in high school. He snorted pixie sticks.
Oh, right on.
So
I'm sure that was good.
I'm not
for
gonna
him.
say his first name, but if you're out there, I miss you. Okay, let's talk about Carl Watkins. It's the character we first see.
That's the
child flashing molester guy.
Okay. That's the actor, or that's his name?
That's the character's name.
Okay. Okay.
They say it multiple times, so
Okay.
I try to remember. What is this guy's deal? Where is he living?
What do you mean?
That's not a house. That's not an apartment. That's not a house.
I don't remember where he was. I thought he just showed up at the house, like
No,
their
okay, no,
house.
where he's living.
I don't remember that.
It's like they open on a scene just like a cement floor, and there's like cigarette butts, and then an envelope comes under a door. And I'm like, where's this guy living?
He just does, he lives simply.
At first this seemed like a guy. And then as I kind of watched more, I'm like, was this just like a homeless guy? It was like, or like an area like under the freeway where a bunch of homeless people live together. I don't know what to tell.
So, okay, I'll bite. You're like, oh, because what do you have an address? Like, where is he living? But not necessarily. I mean, they're Cenobites. Like, they just know where he is.
Not them. It's just so much as like this guy didn't seem.
He could have just been flopping. You know what I mean?
He opens the door and he looks, and the camera points at a brick wall. And I'm like, what's out the front of his door?
They shot where they needed. They probably did the best they could.
And then I go back to like, okay, if you can't do it right, don't do it. And again, I don't want to just focus on the bad stuff, but this is like the first 10 minutes of the movie, or three or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It was immediately making go, well, this is a terrible movie.
Yeah, I not that.
But it redeems it like.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think I had a very, not as visceral as that, but I also had a similar reaction where like, this is gonna be boring.
Yeah.
But
it looks cheap because of where they're shooting it already looks like bad stages or bad.
As soon as he wakes up in that chair, then I'm engaged again.
I would put this movie as like 4 quadrants, not like a 3-act structure.
Yeah.
First quadrant, not great. Second one, good. Third one, not great. Fourth one, good.
Sure.
Because like I think the end is good. I think that
I
middle
wasn't as
section
into the end, but like basically just everything that's and even really like just the Auditor, like really just like all the Auditor.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's
jam.
probably like the second quarter of the movie, you know.
Like when they had the main character tied up again, that was like the next thing.
Yeah. So he gets a note saying like, "Hey, we're your friend. We can." What does it say? Go to a house. They can help. They are a friend. And he's just like,
Very
okay.
ambiguous.
I don't know.
I got nothing better going on. I'm just killing kids, I guess.
And the thing is, I don't think he actually ever did anything but like
just thought
like
about
maybe
it.
like wank off in a car near a playground or while looking at kids, or I assumed he immediately was a child molester.
I took it as him being a bad guy, like.
But then like when
something that he
during
said.
the interviews, it just seemed like, oh, I just looked at him and like, was it this movie that like they had to put a restraining, like he wasn't allowed to go near a school? Oh no, the detectives talking later, like they put a restraining order because they caught him like leering and like flashing, but I don't think he actually molested any children. You know, not that there's like a gray area here. It's like, well, it's okay to jerk off to him, but it's not.
Right.
But I mean, I thought he was way worse than
Yeah.
You know, if Pinhead's coming for you, you're supposed to be at the limit of whatever you've done.
Right.
There's no more where else to go.
Right,
you know?
right.
So it's kind of a weird. I'm not sure how deeply gross he is.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the Auditor. So what happens? He goes to the house and.
Well, he wakes up tied to a chair with he's like connected. I don't.
Is it like a typewriter that's also a polygraph?
Yeah,
It's
kinda.
also like a blood transfusion machine?
Sort of. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know. So this is where this whole like bureaucracy in hell kind of thing starts. You have a very like matter-of-fact dude called the Auditor, and he's just a guy in a suit with a really scratched up, fucked up face with sunglasses
Yeah.
and a slight accent, and
Which, with the Hellraiser mythos, it's like everyone has some kind of weird, like their faces are fucked up and
Yeah.
twisted, and he's just a very simple, like, yeah, he got, through a glass machine. Or
Sure,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
And,
He doesn't necessarily have like a theme. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the other guys.
And he wears these really, really, really matte black glasses.
Yeah.
So the idea, like, you know, you can't look into his. He has no soul. You know,
Right.
it's just very. He's by the book. He's an accountant. He's
Right.
the auditor.
Yeah.
Well, you just might as well just call him the accountant. You know.
Yeah. Well, auditor means you're auditing, right?
Yes,
You
I'm
ask
saying.
questions,
So like, it's kind of funny, but like, you look at him and he's like the stuffy guy who's like fixes his tie, you know, in the hell world area.
Yeah.
Like, what is that all about?
and he's kind of bored too. That's the other thing too. Like they've been doing this long enough, I guess, with a certain kind of a guy. The only reason I say this is because later he gets kind of excited when it's a different kind of a soul that they have.
'Cause, like, I don't think he gets off on he doesn't care about the torture and stuff as much.
No, I think he cares more about. I don't know, man. This is weird. All right, so he basically just asks this guy's questions, like, you know, and tells him, like, answer honestly. It's better for you if you do, or whatever. You'll be given your reward.
Yeah.
If you answer honestly and correctly. And as this guy answers questions, he's over here in the typewriter, like, and typing up on the typewriter, and the typewriter's like connected to him.
And he's also like, spare me, or like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's not getting like, ooh, I love this guy's, you know, torturing him.
Right. He's not really a sadist.
He's there to do his job.
Right.
Yeah.
So after he's done with the interrogation, and then the guy's like, okay, now I'm gonna bring in the
assessor.
The assessor, and the guy's, I can't remember if he says it then or says it later, where he's like, I thought you said you were gonna give me a reward.
Yeah.
Is that, I don't know if
And then he says,
it's like, you are gonna be rewarded. You're gonna get exactly what you deserve.
yeah, that's what it was. And the guy goes, Jesus Christ! And then the auditor
He's like,
grabs.
oh, stop! Don't say.
Yeah. But then he
Please.
he's wearing a cross necklace, and
Yeah.
the auditor takes it and like kind of looks at it and walks away.
Yeah.
Like, again, you go back to like, are these people at odds with like heaven, or are they part of a separate faction? You know, it's kind of weird. But yes, they're not. There's a line there. He says something. The detective asks him later. He says something about something with heaven and angels, and he says, "Oh, you know, we're not part of the same thing, but we're in the same zip code."
Oh yeah, he
What is
said.
that line?
Same city, completely different zip code.
And I thought that
Which
was
like kind of like that. If that about puts it in about as plain English as you could possibly get.
Yeah.
Like heaven, hell. All right, that's what it is now.
like we're biblical, but we're not exactly like the way you think of like
Right.
that or that. There's some gray area in between and stuff like that.
So
And after reading a Preacher and see some of that stuff, I'm like, there's a lot more like that could happen. You know, what's the Nephilim and things like that, like things that I don't really think
oh
about.
yeah, there's all kinds of
that
cool
I don't know
shit.
about this stuff. It's fun to like, I know kind of stuff, and this
Yeah.
is like, okay, well, this is kind of exploring that a little bit more.
Right.
So yeah, the assessor comes in.
I'll let you take this way because you know this guy.
Oh God. Okay, so the assessor comes in. Let me just.
I'll just say this for the movie: the idea that you can say like this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, like in a
Yeah.
very specific sequence, like is pretty good on their part.
Let me also just point out that if you can remember not the names of the characters, but their
jobs.
roles.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you other than one person in the movie what their name was besides Carl Watkins, because they
Right.
said it enough times, and the female detective. I don't know the brothers' names. I don't know anyone else's names, but I can tell you all their roles,
Yeah.
right? Also, they're playing, let me pronounce this correctly, Fior Elisa. On they're playing do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it's just one of those things where you hear video games trailers did this, and now movie trailers, they always take this song and make like a spooky, haunted version for their movie trailer or for their video game trailer. Like, I think Suicide Squad did that.
Yeah. It's always you take the series.
I started a joke.
Or like a
pop song and make it haunty and spooky.
like who's the man in black guy, the fucking
Will
the
Smith?
country singer. No.
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash. Like you take a Johnny Cash song and you
redo.
slow it down. You have
Yeah.
you have some 18-year-old girl with an acoustic guitar sing it, and now
Yes.
yeah.
So they played Beethoven's Fior Elisa, try to play it spooky, but so that do 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 do. They don't only play the first part over and over again because do 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 do, and then they never get to the next part because if you keep listening to that song. It kind of picks up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's too good for this. So they try to be spooky, and again, this is the first like 5-10 minutes movie, and I'm already like, this is trying too hard. I don't like this. Is so corny. But again, it gets past that. So I'm gonna just read my verbatim notes for what this next part is. So there's this guy, the auditor, who types on a typewriter about their subject. Then it will get sent to the jury.
No, that's not true. It's the assessor for next.
Let me recap. Because he mentions the jury before he mentions...
That's true.
Okay, so it's how he kind of presents it and how it happens. He can type on a typewriter about the subject. They'll get sent to the jury, which is a bunch of big titty naked chicks who have minimal amount of makeup effects on their face, and their flesh is ripped a little bit on their face. They're basically totally normal looking people. You can
see their teeth and things.
Just breasts and a pair of underwear. They decide by eating the vomit of a guy, the assessor, who eats the typewritten paper drenched in children's tears.
Yeah.
So, but the assessor's just a dude. He's not a Cenobite. He's just like a...
Not just any dude.
He's like a big fat guy comes and goes, ooh. He pulls his little box out and he pulls a little vial and he's like...
He's got a plate. He's got a special knife and a fork.
He's got a knife and a fork, but he has a little thing that's like a cork in it. He's like, tears of children, and he pours it on the paper. And you're like, what is... And I thought he's a child molester.
Yeah.
That's part of his thing, but I think that's just he always does that.
Yeah.
Pours it on the paper, proceeds to cut him up, just fucking stuffs himself till he just starts vomiting into a funnel with a tube that goes through a wall. And at this point, you're just like, whoa, this is the best Hellraiser I've seen in a while,
That's different. I haven't seen that before. Good job.
So, at this point, you're like, okay, the Auditor was cool. The Assessor is a big fat guy he wears like a suit jacket with no shirt.
No shirt underneath.
He's just everything up.
Tears of children.
I found out later, it's John Gulager, the guy who was on Project Greenlight. They were like, it was the original one? Or the first time they did a horror movie.
This is the first time they did a horror movie.
He directed Feast, which,
This Feast.
I
never saw it.
It's so long ago now, though, but that was really popular at a time. It was a big thing. Yeah, so he vomits a bunch, and he's like, just not hanging out of his nose, and goes in a tube, and then the assessor, walks to the other room and kind of looks in the doorway, and 3 naked ladies for no purpose.
The Auditor.
The Auditor's looking at 3 naked ladies on their knees. They turn to him. They get up one at a time in sequence, go over to a trough, like the kind you see at Dodger Stadium that everyone pees in.
Yeah.
And the vomit's flowing in there, and then they rub their hands in it.
The first real gross thing. It's funny, we're going to talk about this, the things that, should gross you out, but then there's, something... nothing so far is, really... so far, nothing's bothered me yet.
Right.
But, sticking your hands in the vomit, that's horrible. That's, so bad. And then everything that happens afterward, not so bad. Nothing that happens afterward is that bad.
They just, rub their hands in the vomit and then pick it up and decide to devour it. And I guess that's how you decide if someone's innocent or guilty of what? I have no idea. What does guilty mean? I have no idea. What does innocent mean? I have no idea.
Yeah.
Watch the whole movie. They bring it up again. I still don't know what that means. But that's how they decide whatever they decide.
To do what they're going to do next.
Whatever they're going to do next. So, what they do next is not... Oh, wait, never mind. There is that part. Forgot. But I'm going to give this movie credit, because at this point I'm like, they're pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff that's gross, but it's also... The way the Assessor is played, I didn't like... At first, it's just like, are we just being weird just to be weird? But then I realized, there's a sequence to this. There's a whole mechanism that's going on, and they have their own dumb ideology of what this means. So I'm like, okay, it's not just odd to be freaky to the audience, but they definitely are gross.
Yeah.
And the gross is great because they're pushing it. So the butcher and the surgeon is what's next. Oh, sorry.
No, the cleaners, or the... whatever they're fucking called.
What's really funny, though, is during the Auditor's conversation with him, he threatens them, with pain. He's like, pain is a currency. Would you like me to spend some on you?
Yeah,
right?
that was a good line.
And it was funny, but then he has, an old-school barber shop, flat razor. Mm-hmm. You do the old shave with the thing. Again, I noticed these things. He opens it up, starts to stand up. The next shot, he's opening the razor again. He opens it for dramatic effect, but the problem is he just opened it the previous scene, so...
Maybe he noticed that the guy didn't see him the first time. He's like, I was looking away. Let me do it again.
Again, it's one of those things I'm just like, oh, you fucked up. Whatever. So...
Did you just remember that line? Or is that written on your
notes?
notes?
No, I just remembered that.
It was a pretty good line.
That's why, like I said, I watch it, and then I watch it, whatever. So... The
cleaners.
They take them to the cleaners. Put them on a table. Tie him down. This is like Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting into like the really like
No,
gruesome
nothing in
stuff.
this movie was as bad as Bone Tomahawk.
Here's the way we had to talk about that one. So now it's a different set of naked ladies. Some of them which are old, gray-haired, and fat. And I don't mean that in a mean way. The writer actually described them that way in the script originally, or like when he wrote it, was like, I wanted to have old ladies who were gross and decrepit, kind of. Ladies with tattoos. Again, these aren't Cenobites. I don't understand the correlation with these, but whatever. And the camera kind of pulls out of the room, and you see some shadows, and they're like munching on him. So I assume they're like biting him and eating him alive. They're like,
Right.
You got to be clean. But the next scene, he's just stripped of his clothes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't really know.
He's not some big like open chest cavity or anything.
You have to be clean on the inside.
Yeah.
And I was like,
What do they?
what does that mean? I don't know. Especially if they're like chewing, eating him, but they're cleaning. Give him an enema. I was almost like, are they gonna? Yeah, I don't know. That's why it's like you said, there was no hole where they like got into him. So I don't know what that meant. You find out later.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. Yeah, it's closer off, and then the big fat guy with the baby face.
Do we need to say that spoilers? I guess.
Oh, we're talking about the whole movie.
Okay.
Yeah, we're telling you everything
In case
that
I
happens in
wasn't
the movie.
clear, in case this was the first video watched by us.
Yeah, if you haven't figured it out by now, we're talking about the whole movie. So then, this isn't as interesting. It's just like a big fat guy.
Oh, you weren't into this? The fucking giant. He was like straight out of a fucking like. He was straight out of Evil Within.
More like Bayonetta. I think Bayonetta had
The
like
guy that came out of it was, but the
Yes. No.
the baby face thing?
I think they were like baby angels, like grown
Oh, I
angels
don't
in
know. I didn't play
Bayonetta.
that game.
No. Just, why has it got a baby face?
I was kind of into the big. It's like
a big fat guy in a diaper, right?
It was sort of like you never watched the third. You didn't watch any of the Mad Max movies. Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah, I've seen-
Is it Beyond
Yeah.
Thunderdome?
I don't remember them as much, but I've seen them
It's
all.
I'm forgetting his name.
I don't know.
Shit, because there's the little guy with the big guy, and the little guy is like on top.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Master Blaster.
Yeah.
It's like Master Blaster if
The guy was
Blaster
inside.
yeah, if he lived inside of like a hump on his back.
But okay, so am I remembering this right? Okay, it's a big fat guy wearing like a metal baby
Yeah.
mask, but is he wearing a diaper?
Maybe.
And he has wings.
Maybe his wings.
And that's why I'm a Bayonetta.
Okay,
I'm thinking more it's like Bayonetta because they would have that stuff.
the cherub idea.
There you go, cherub. That's what I was thinking of. And then he walks with, and he has a big like honking blade that he knocks down in the wood, and then
You're like, oh shit, this guy's gonna fuck something up.
he's gonna butcher him.
But then he turns around.
He's the butcher, and then, he turns around, and then out of his insides, a person wearing a gas mask gimp latex suit
Yeah, he's like
comes
the
out
Gimp from Pulp Fiction.
Wah, just comes out of his back, and then has these two cool curved blades, and proceeds to cha-ching, cha-ching,
Yeah, he does like
cha-ching.
Pit in the Pendulum on him.
He does a. Is it SPL? Wu Jing does the fucking the knife. Do you remember SPL?
Yeah, but
Killzone in America.
yeah, I mean, I remember the alley fight scene. Everybody's seen Xiao Po Lung. Are you kidding me?
Which I think, he's cutting them to pieces and gross, but somehow was surgical. He's the surgeon. With precision, he's like just cut the skin in a good way so he can rip the whole skin off.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Which didn't really make much sense with this.
Yeah.
And then just pulls the skin off.
I don't know. I just go like this, and he's like Zorro, you know?
Yeah, there you go. Like that. Pulls the skin off, drops it on the floor, and then the blood proceeds to shoot out all over the breasts of the naked ladies.
And they like that.
The original naked ladies,
Yes.
not the cleaning naked ladies.
No, the jury.
The jury, yes. And they very much like it. That's the intro of the movie, folks.
Yeah. You're like, okay.
You're like, okay,
All right, Judgment.
I'm on board a little bit here.
I see you, Judgment. I see you. Let's see where you go with this.
Yeah. One quick thing was, so they cut the skin off, and they don't really do anything with that, but turns out what's supposed to be implied, and this is from the director, is that skin gets like bleached and cleaned or whatever, and gets cut up real nice. That's the paper that goes in the typewriter.
Oh, they should have made that more clear. That's cool.
All right, it was supposed to be shot or never got shot or something like that, but yeah, you can tell because when he has the paper, it's not quite.
Right.
It's kind of
Yeah,
yellowish.
It's sort
and
of weird.
It's kind of a limp cloth kind of material, and the typewriter is typing in blood. So the keys, that's why they're in red. Pretty cool. I like that. So yeah, the skin gets cut off, and that gets used for the next assessor or the next audit.
Okay.
Is
all
that
right,
person's
all
skin
right.
is the paper. We are probably 8 minutes into the movie at most.
Yeah, but that was all the most interesting stuff. Like the next part's not
Right,
so much
we're not
fun.
gonna. It's not gonna the same amount of time for the whole movie. And this goes back, and then this happens where I'm like, I'm shitting on the movie again. There's a 2-minute title sequence.
It was a long title
120
sequence.
seconds of like, typewritten names on papers burning and incandescent lights kind of flashing over. And it for 20 seconds it'd been cool, but 2 minutes.
At this point, I feel like you can't even get away with the credit sequence without giving at least like an interesting imagery, or you're doing some backstory or exposition with it, or
show
something
like old
that.
photographs of people. The movie's 121 minutes long with the title sequence and with the credits. I mean,
this movie should have been 90 minutes. Is it 2 hours?
No, it's 120 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, not 120. An hour and 20.
Okay, that's okay.
That's 81 minutes.
Because I don't think I could have.
That's the shortest.
I would have been really impressed if that was 2 hours long. It didn't.
And I know budget and acting, all this stuff. There are certain scenes in the movie I look at and go, that could have been longer. Sorry, that should have been longer. And then when you look at the total running time, you're like, that could have been longer. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to hurry this up. The movie is incredibly short.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, when you take in the credits, you take in that 2 minutes. The movie itself is like 75 minutes, maybe 74 minutes. That's a very, very short movie.
I usually commend.
I mean, even like theatrical movies that are short will be like 88 minutes.
Yeah.
Approaching 90, but maybe not hitting it or something.
I'm trying to watch a lot of movies. The shorter they are, the better. That's where I'm at.
I guess. And then we're introduced to the world's two most uncharismatic cops, detectives.
Yeah. I mean, they could be worse, but.
And they're brothers.
Yeah.
And they look nothing alike.
No.
And they are nothing alike.
Yeah. So one of them's supposed to be like the cool cop, the guy that wants to like dress nice and like look nice.
Scruffy McBeard face?
No, and that's the other guy.
Oh, you're saying the cool one's the guy who wears the bow ties.
Yeah, because there's the one guy that like he's the guy that wears like the suit to work. You know what I mean? And then it's just like Morgan Freeman like puts a bow tie on. I don't know if he wears a bow tie and stuff.
It's a tie or a bow tie.
He gets dressed up for work, and then Brad Pitt's character is just like, oh shit, is there a tie around here somewhere? Okay. So yeah, you got your scruffy guy and your more clean cut guy.
And we'll just say that like the actors cast, I mean, again, it's Hellraiser, the 10th Hellraiser movie. There's nobody of note, and everything these people have worked on before is just like TV shows and. The guy was a character in The Lone Ranger, the Johnny Depp movie. Like no one's in anything that's worth noting.
Yeah.
Other than John Gulager, who was directing the Children of the Corn movie at the same time in Oklahoma where they were shooting Hellraiser, another movie that Dimension has to make to retain the rights for. And one of the jury girls was also in the Children of the Corn movie.
There you go.
I saw that. So
one big Dimension family.
Yeah. They must have just like, hey, we're flying everybody out to Oklahoma to shoot both movies side by side at the same time. You have 2 weeks to get it done, Mm-hmm. I'll give the director a lot of credit though. He said he wrote his writing and his directing stipulation or whatever the salary was. He put that money towards special effects, or towards makeup. They had locations picked out around Oklahoma. He just walked around the set that they had, like the warehouse they were shooting in. He's like, we'll just shoot these 3 places. That way the grips don't have to carry anything 7 miles down the road to a new location. We'll just shoot here.
Right.
Save a bunch of money. So definitely, hands-on. He had a Leatherman tool or something like that, like a multi-tool, and the guys at grips were like, oh, you have your own tool. Like, I like this guy. He does hands-on work. He was applying makeup to Pinhead while in his own Auditor makeup. Like, he'd come in early, but his
you didn't
makeup
mention
on.
that yet.
Oh yeah, the director's the Auditor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he was my favorite character in the movie, so that's good on you.
And he said like I didn't want to tell anybody, he didn't do IMDb at first. He just wanted to like kind of let it go. Yeah. And when people are like, oh, I like the Auditor, he's like, well, actually, I'm the Auditor. Bob Weinstein called him. He said, I really liked the movie. I think it was really good. And he's like, oh, what did you think about the guy at the face had all the cuts on it? He's like, that's my favorite character in the movie. I fucking loved him. And he goes, Bob, that was me. That was me. He's like, what? He goes, I hear him off the phone. He's like, guys, did you know Tony Cliff was the guy with the scratch face? That was amazing. And he's like, yeah, I could have done a much better job if I had a little bit bigger budget or, and do it again. He goes, oh, fuck you, Gary Tunnicliffe. He's like, oh, yeah, well, fuck you. And it's great. And this is before the Harvey Weinstein thing, I think. Which is why this movie actually got delayed, because they wanted to not...
Yeah, who even knows what's going on,
right,
with Miramax and Dimension and all that.
So, but that was funny. He's like, Bob Weinstein called me, and he's like, oh, I was really impressed that was you. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. You want more money. No, goodbye. So, yeah. Let's get back to the movie. All right, what's next?
Murder investigation. These guys are on the case of somebody who is murdering people in a biblical fashion. Something about teaching people lessons in 10 Commandments or something.
Some rich, slutty young girl who has an ex-boyfriend that she wants to have a quickie with.
She gets knocked out, and you don't see what happens to her. So then, here we are. Now we're at the crime scene.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? He might be a tough guy. He's a war hero. You know, he was in the war. He was
the scruffy guy is a ex
military.
He was in the military.
But you know what? Don't judge a book by its cover. Literally, because he reads books.
Not just any books, fucking Dickens.
He reads the Bible. He read Charles Dickens.
Yeah,
he's a you don't know.
I love War and Peace personally. Yeah. So that was some. Again, it takes all types, and you can have interesting characters. There was nothing about this actor or character that was selling the fact that he's some scruffy guy that goes home and reads fucking
Dickens. And
stuff. Give me a break.
You should read more.
Yeah.
But that's actually part of the plot.
I mean, sometimes it's you want to play against type, but it's make your nerdy guy who dresses nice, make him the bookie guy, not this guy.
But don't overdo it though. Don't make it corny.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So she is dead.
That's a good way to describe it. She's dead.
Yeah.
And of course, they're on the scene. Just those two guys, candlelit. Oh, I guess the power was out or whatever. And the other detective, the lady detective, was just hiding in the bedroom in the dark, busts out hey, who are you guys?
And then they take their gun out, who the fuck are you, bitch? And they're gonna gun her down. She's oh, I'm working on your case with you. It's maybe lead with that. We almost shot you. And this was it's kind of a very probably unintentional commentary also in modern times.
I guess, the gun holsters are all big and visible and stuff. Yeah, it's one of those things where they're trying to create characters and they're trying to. They're just not interesting. I don't care. They could.
It's hard to make cops interesting in this context. I'm just telling you, don't fucking do the cop thing anymore with these movies. It's not. Don't show me fucking typewriters plugged into people and people that are eating pages and stuff like that, and then be we're on the case, CSI Miami shit. It's not.
But
cool.
it's just also you don't have to try to elicit a scare or a jump of I was in the bedroom and who are you guys? And we're on the same team.
At this point, just try to be a good cop show.
Yeah.
At this point,
her deal is she had a little dog, and there's a video looping on her laptop, but going. She's holding her dog, a selfie, and she's like, "This is my god." Is that what she calls it? I worship this little guy.
I worship this little guy. Yeah.
And so on the floor in blood is written, "I am a jealous god."
Right.
So she's like, "Oh, you worship," and what's going on? There's something moving under her dress, and it turns out the dog was sewn into her womb. Yeah. The dog's still alive. I don't know how long the dog lived inside of her stomach, smashed in there and sewn up with staple. They tried to be gross.
Yeah, it was trying to be gross. The dog was fine.
Yeah,
I guess. Poor dog.
The funny thing is though, there's a letter involved, and the letter says, "I'm sure as you read this, you're going to be thinking to yourself, oh, that poor dog," instead of the dead woman that's there. And I was like,
that's
pretty much human. I have more sympathy for the dog than I did have the person. And that was a teachable moment by the killer, the Preceptor.
Right.
Again, the name, I remember the Preceptor. I don't remember the name of the detective.
So he calls himself the Preceptor. Or they call him the Preceptor. No, he calls himself, I don't know.
They call him that.
Isn't there some kind of pun with a lap dog? Something like that?
I don't know.
There was some kind of point about being the dog. I can't remember.
But yeah, the idea there that, you care more about the dog being stuck in there. And I'm like,
fuck you for liking animals.
Yeah. Also, the woman, I mean, again, you go, she didn't deserve to die, but she was kind of a bitch.
Sure.
Yeah. Good joke. And I thought it was a good joke. I thought that was good writing.
Why did they kill you in an incredibly violent fashion? Because Uber drivers don't like you? Bummer.
Yeah.
Uber blacked my ass. What is this piece of shit?
I mean, the truth is, I'm like, that is a good writing because how many people are going to show this movie to are going to go, 95% of them are going to go, yeah, I kind of agree with that. But that's the moment he's trying to say is that
well, that's a catharsis, right? That's the half horror movie is wish fulfillment where you're like, yeah, that was good.
So this is the intro to they kill them in very specific ways.
Yeah.
The next kill we get is they go to a playground.
Oh yeah.
And on the slide area, there's a bunch of little hands, cut off here, and they're just stuck like on the thing, and they're in a circle, and they're holding.
It was very intricate.
Yeah, it took a lot of time to do this one. You know, the hand. They open up the hand. There's an eyeball and tooth in there. I think.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Right.
I don't know
why they were killed. I can't remember.
And then
they were.
There's like missing persons papers.
Right.
Which I'm assuming.
They were like some kids from the playground or something.
Yeah, they're like 14 to 15-year-old people.
What did they do wrong?
Well, we found out later, like they were innocent, but it's okay. It's collateral damage.
Right.
He has some missing papers arranged on the fence to spell out the word thieves, which I don't know that they were stealing, so I don't know why they're thieves, whatever. Again, more dead people. The detectives are like, oh, detective, I'm doing detectiving.
So I guess the other thing is that the scruffy guy is like a relapsing alcoholic, I suppose, and not getting along very well with his wife or something, and kind of falling apart at the seams a little bit.
So, I don't remember why, but Pinhead's like in his chair.
He just hangs out in his chair. He's just thinking about things.
But here's the funny thing:
better days, better movies.
He's like reminiscing on the past. They repeat the footage of him in his chair, like the same shot they had earlier. They showed the exact same shot again. So they talk to the medical examiner, and he's like, "I just got off the phone with Hodges." One of the guys walks in the room, and all the three detectives are working together now. He walks in and goes, "Oh, I just got off the phone with Hodges, the medical examiner." Why did you say his name? Why did you just say... And I go back to like, this is writing 101 kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Why did you just walk in and say, I just got off the phone with the medical examiner? His name does not matter.
Right.
And I wrote
it's
that down.
Never going to come up again.
I thought, well, maybe later it'll be... Hodges will be really important.
Right.
They say his name later when they call, hey, where you at, Hodges? Where you at, Emmy? You didn't need a name.
Yeah.
Little things.
Yeah.
Get bugged by stuff like that.
And he hits on the girl. That's
yeah, but I just look like you're throwing more names out there, and I'm already not remembering who anyone is except for the lady detective. Her name is Edgerton, but it's spelled E-G-E-R, so it's Egerton.
Yeah.
But it's not pronounced that way at all.
Right.
Because they make a big deal about her name. I'm Edgerton. He's like, yeah, her name's Edgerton. Yeah, I'm Edgerton. Hey, Edgerton. Here, like, I remember her name. So it's like you throw Hodges in there, and I'm like, wait. Later on, they say something like, who's Hodges again? Was that their boss? And I had to rewind and go, oh, it was a medical examiner. Like, don't throw names out there you're not going to use because you're just going to confuse your audience.
Yeah. That's one of the things in comic books that happens all the time. The first issue, and it's a big not pet peeve, but I'm like, I don't do it if you want to. Like, a lot of times if you don't introduce more than like 3 things, and not even like names. I mean, just don't even introduce more than like 3 concepts in 22 pages. Otherwise, you're going to do... If you start, like, more than 3 subplots, stop. If you do more than 3, like, characters you want people to remember, stop. Like,
just stop.
Just stop.
Yeah.
That's why we remember the Auditor, the Assessor, the Jury, because they're clearly defined. They have a unique title about them. But the characters in the movie, I don't know what the brothers' names are. I don't know their last name or their first name. I think one of them is named David, maybe? I think his wife's name might have been Allison.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, to be fair, like, how many horror movies do you really, like, remember?
But you go,
name,
wife.
Yeah.
Don't say her name.
Right.
Just say wife, because don't throw another name into the mix. For a 75-minute movie, I don't want to hear more names.
All right, we got to get out of the corner's office.
Again, they're in there talking in the office, and she says something, and he interrupts her. Do you remember this?
No. This is something you pick up on, not me.
I don't know. So this is what's funny. I don't know if this is really bad editing. I think it was bad editing.
So what does he have to do with this?
All of these girls went to Chase Terrace Academy.
And she starts talking, and there was no, like, sorry, or pause, or like, oh, that was mean. I just think it was, they cut it too short.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Why did they bring up the child molester? Why do they think about looking for him?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, you know what? It doesn't matter, you're right. But the detective remembers, hey, remember that girl? She was part of the school. Remember this girl? She went to this school. This is the guy that I remember from years back in a case. He got a
This is where the cop shit is just, doesn't matter.
Yeah. There's a restraining order from the school on this guy. Maybe it was this guy because they're connected, right? It's like, oh, they'll investigate. Let's look for his address.
That's where I guess because he had his phone?
No, not yet.
All right.
The phone thing is...
The internet, computer, something
That's
about...
later. That happens later.
Okay, all right. Doesn't matter.
That's how they find the place that he went to. No, it's almost like,
I'm trying, Hellraiser Judgement, I'm trying.
He's connected to the girl's deaths. Like, he had an issue. They went to school at the same place, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But, this is where they go to his address, and this is the... address. This is the basement door underneath like an industrial place that he lives. Is this address? It's not a whatever. I get budgets.
He's got internet access.
You know, they bang on the door, hey, and then immediately he bangs on the door immediately. What's her face from Nightmare on Elm Street?
Christy. I think that's her name.
No.
It's not?
Nightmare on Elm Street, not the girl from Hellraiser.
Oh, you're right.
Heather Langenkamp? Oh,
I don't know the actress's name or the character's name. The main character from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Heather Langenkamp.
What's her character's name, though? You didn't write that down?
No, I don't know.
Okay, I don't remember.
She plays landlady. And I say landlady instead of landlord because of Kung Fu Hustle.
Right.
And she gives the spiel, oh, he's not home. He owes me 2 months' rent. I'm going to go back to criticizing the movie again. When you would do a scene like this, you would say, like, boom, 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 boom. Carl Watkins, it's the police. We're here to question you. Boom, 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 boom. You know, hey, open up if you're in there. Boom, boom, whoa. You know, scary lady just shows up top of stairs.
Yeah.
He's not there, yada, yada. This scene is literally boom, boom, boom. Hey, oh, hi. There's no build-up. There's no tension. There's no, like, who's this lady that appears upstairs? Again, your movie is really short. You could have let that go for the
This kind of goes back to the every frame of painting, the Edgar Wright stuff. Like, every cut is an opportunity to do something, you know?
I'm not a film... And again, I give credit to the director and writer of this. He did a good job, but these are simple things where I'm just like, I kind of... This is where maybe in the movie fell apart in editing. Like, maybe it was during shooting you had an idea, but during editing it doesn't come up. But, you know, that wasn't thought of. And that's a very easy scene to build a little bit of tension there, is to have them spend a little bit of time before the lady appears who gives them the exposition. Again, I never took a film class. I never did screenwriting, but I know enough about this stuff. Like, that's screenwriting 101, you know, this is filmmaking 101. That would have been a good scene to build a little bit of tension. Have this weird lady who's in the movie for 15 seconds, who's from Nightmare on Elm Street, is the only character, and she does a cameo, basically. It would have been nice to build that scene up a little bit. Also, she goes down the stairs. I swear to God, they're on a high school theater stage.
Yeah, I kind of
There's a weird, like, wood back of a wall above it, and I'm like, were they supposed to not shoot that dirt? Like, you almost see, like, the rafters of the auditorium above them or something, you know? Like, they should not have shot that angle. I don't know what that is. Everyone's looking at it right now.
I'm just trying to think of, like, a line she could say that would be, like, a cute callback to Nightmare on Elm Street or something.
Yeah. And I don't know if this was just, like, you know, she has, like, a building... And this literally is, like, the basement, and she's, like, renting it out to, like, homeless people who want to do drugs in there or have a place to just, like, go and be decrepit and gross. Or is this actually supposed to be, like, an apartment? Because there's no windows. He goes, there's no windows? She's like, they wouldn't want to see what's going on in there. What
place has no windows?
What address has no windows, right? Again, if this was just like, oh, he lives in the basement of this place that the person lets him live in or rent to him... But they're, you know, this is not a real address. This is not a real place.
By the way, speaking of cute callbacks,
yeah,
don't put Star Wars lines in your Hellraiser Judgement. I know you didn't.
I didn't catch this. I have no idea.
For other people that actually have watched Star Wars movies a few times, like, don't put, oh, what an incredible new smell you've discovered, okay? Because I'm not even the biggest Star Wars guy ever, and I went, wow, really? You want me to think about Star Wars right now while I'm watching your Hellraiser movie? Don't do that.
Like, don't be cutesy in a Hellraiser movie.
But especially not for Star Wars. At least do it for, like, a horror film or something.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
So yeah, you know, an apartment in a brick basement. So they look there, and then I guess they leave. They look in the dark because there's no power, and they're like, all right, well, guess that's something. And then they go to their police department building, which they make a big sting out of, like, this is a police department building. This is a building that says police department on the outside. You know,
you don't need to take our word for it.
Yeah, we have to show you walking in the door of the police department. We can't just show up in our office. This is the police department. Yeah, they really love this transition. 4 times in the movie, they show the front of the police department. Someone go in and out. It's just like...
Establishing shot.
Waste of money. Also, the building was actually called the Oklahoma Flower Shop, and they used CGI to put the police department sign in. It's 100% waste of money. And the director goes, oh, you know, people talk about, like, bad effects, and it's like, fuck you. You didn't even know that was an effect. And I'll be honest, I didn't know they actually, I thought that was like, they actually got iron letters and put them up there. Why did you waste monny on that?
Maybe it is more expensive at this point to...
Why did you even show the front of the police department? I don't care.
How else would you know what it was?
How would I else know?
How would you say, wait, what's in that building?
You don't even show the building.
Why are they at the fire station?
But I mean, you go directly from the guy's basement dirty shithole, and they're back in their office.
Wait, why are they at a football field?
What?
I'm just saying, like, how do you know what it is?
But I'm saying they went back to their office. I know what their office is. It's in the police department. You know, whatever. Oh god. So the detective goes back to the child molester's place and goes like, "Oh, I have a hunch." And then now that the power's on, and he looks at his laptop and he finds the address to the building. That.
Yeah, it was like it
Pinhead's
saved
at.
his Google Maps search or whatever.
And he goes there and he falls asleep at the door. And then he wakes up in the chair.
Because he's been drinking or something all night.
No.
What, really? He just fell asleep?
Well, he heard them playing Fiora Lisa, and it made him sleepy.
Okay.
And he just took a nap right there. And
he was
woke
under
up.
their spell.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is, and then you can take over. So.
It's the same thing. So this is kind of fun because.
But
now
this,
I'm perking up again because the rest of the stuff is really boring. So this
okay,
is.
well, so the first time is gross, right?
Yeah.
So the idea here, he said, was like, you see the same setup as before. You go,
right.
I don't know if I can do this again.
Yeah, this is smart when you do this. You're like, oh, I've seen this before. I know how this goes down. Sort of like in a video game, but but then it's gonna have variety. It's gonna have how will it be different? Because at some point it's going to diverge. So immediately this guy is like not.
Hey, hold still.
What was that?
You had a hair in your head.
Oh.
I cleaned you.
That was kind of horrifying.
You don't need to be clean on the inside, just the top of your head.
Okay.
We like each other, but we don't really like. I had friends in high school who had like beat each other, piggyback rides, and hug each other, and all friendly. Me and you do not like physical contact at all.
Well, yeah.
You were rubbing your knee on me before it started, just to bug me. But it's funny because I know inside it was bugging you too, though.
Yeah, I don't want to touch you.
I love you, Ryan, but I just do not like to. I don't want to touch you.
Where was I?
The auditor and
okay, so this guy wakes up in a chair, tied up, just like the last guy.
Hellraiser.
But the difference here is that instead of like freaking out, it's kind of interesting because this guy's sort of like. I guess this is probably the one part where this character was kind of interesting. He sort of like took it all in stride.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, this is fucked up and weird, but I'm just gonna think about it and be logical. Okay, I'd be dead already if so. You want me for something?
Right.
So like, and he's kind of answering all these questions for himself. And because he's like this, the auditor's kind of like, oh, you're kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You're kind of an interesting guy. Okay, I mean this won't be as boring as all the rest. And so
gives him the reward.
What?
The box.
He asks about the boxes. He asks, what are those things? So there's just a bunch of lament configurations just sitting on like a mantle plate, mantle almost.
Yeah. But he says like, well, you're a good subject. I'll give you a reward. I'll tell you about the box.
Right. I don't know. At some point, he starts asking him about.
This is where we get the exposition of this character's backstory.
Yeah, because he's had some fucked up shit or whatever, and he asks him about something that happened to him during the war, right? Like during the tour.
Well, he beat his dog when he was 4.
Oh, right. That was so.
This is more than it was just a military man. That was like it goes farther back.
Right. You're supposed to like this guy's kind of fucked up. But then he says that like he's innocent, or that's later.
It's a little bit later.
Okay. This guy is. The auditor is clearly very excited that this guy is giving him very honest, direct answers.
And he tells him, be honest, and you get your reward. Right. What I wrote down is like he explains the box to him as a reward for not being a pussy.
Okay.
Because he takes this whole auditing in stride. He's just like he tells him stories. It's a good really good dialogue. Again, this is that part of the movie again that gets good after the shit before this was boring, and it's a very much like this kind of movie. He says like, "What on earth is this place?" And the auditor goes, "It isn't."
Yeah.
I think that's pretty good. Because it's not on Earth.
And this is the ballpark or zip code.
It's
line.
in there somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
They go back and forth on biblical quotes, or one quotes the Bible, and the other one quotes the Bible,
right.
and then he calls him on his Deuteronomy, whatever, and he's like Ecclesiastes 3:17, and the auditor goes, "Ha! Oh. I really like this. This guy knows his shit, right?"
Yeah.
He's getting him to tell stories, and he's fucking tearing up because he's telling war stories. Interesting behind-the-scenes tidbit: the director called his wife, the actor's wife, said, "Did he have something that you could like? Is from his childhood that's like really painful that I could like bring up?" And she's like, "Yeah, he got in trouble at a school for stealing something or whatever it was." And so during that scene, he did that as the auditor, and it really fucked the guy up, which is like how the emotional reaction. He did this to the actor to get him in that state to then read the dialogue lines, and afterwards he was like, "What the fuck was that? How did you talk to my dad?" And it was extremely effective. I think for this actor who's not, I don't care.
Yeah.
This is a scene where I was like, he has some range.
Yeah.
And I have to go, it's because the director pulled it out of him.
That's right, yeah.
So, good directing.
Directors aren't just put the camera and this is where the camera's at. You work with actors too, by the way. You get that the blame falls, or in some cases the credit falls on the director.
He was talking about shooting himself as the auditor. He's like, it's great because I can go in there, say, point the camera at me, and I can just do the line 5 times in a row, each with a different inclination or incantation or whatever it is, the word I'm thinking of.
Inflection?
That too. But just different, different cadences. And I can just do it and go, okay, I got one of those is the one I want.
Yeah.
With an actor, you have to say, can you try it this way? Can you try it this way? Can you try it this way?
Right.
I can just go do it 5 times without stopping, and one of those 5 is the one I'm going to pick, So, again, he's like, I can save money that way.
Yeah.
If I play the character and I go do my lines by myself or with like the unit without any actors there, I can get all my shit done for free, basically. So, good thinking. So the auditor likes him, so what happens to the assessor?
The assessor's excited to eat his pages.
It's so funny in some way to describe it. He's like, children's tears.
Yeah. but the auditor is really into like this groovy pamphlet that they put together for him.
The assessor, who is this guy? I don't know. He's not a Cenobite. Who is he?
But that's good Hellraiser stuff. When
Yeah.
you do stuff that don't explain it, you just show weird shit.
But
You go, what is going on?
This goes back to the Phantasm 3. It's like, are these people working with a tall man?
Right.
But the regular people, I don't know. So the intrigue is there.
It's for the comic book.
Yeah.
So the assessor eats it and then starts not vomiting, like expelling.
He's choking.
He's choking, and this black goo, inky, oily shit comes up out of his mouth, and like it's bad. Like he got food poisoning.
Yeah.
He got page poisoning, and he tries to run over to the thing.
Also, let's not forget, the first guy, the child molester, he has like a page or two.
Yeah.
When this guy's done, there's like a pamphlet.
It's a lot. Yeah.
He's just like, whoa, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And this time when he goes and throws up in the funnel, he's not like all excited. He's kind of like, ugh.
Oh, he's like dying.
That doesn't feel good at
No,
all.
I think he
Then he
died.
kind of keels over, right? And then so the auditor is like, shit, like runs over to the jury room, and now it's fucking them up too, right?
Yeah, they're. He like tries to stop them, I think, but by the time he gets there, they're already kind of and they're like, "Help me," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which, and that again, this is a scene that went 3 or 4 seconds too long.
Right.
That should have been cut shorter because she's just like this, and the camera's focusing on her hand, and everything's blurry, and it's like,
all right, you can cut now.
yeah, okay, good. Like, let's keep going.
And then this is where he's like innocence, or like, oh shit, he's innocent, or something like that, right? Some word like that.
He goes and talks to Pinhead.
Okay.
This is where the thing, he talks to Pinhead and says...
He's gonna go talk to his manager.
I gotta go deal with the manager. I'll be right back. I'm gonna sneeze right now.
Hellraiser!
So yeah, I gotta go speak with my manager. I'll be right back. And then it's just like, oh, he killed everybody. And then does Pinhead say no? Oh, no. He doesn't. He talks to he doesn't talk to the... Okay. Pinhead is the supervisor.
Yeah.
He goes right to the district manager.
Right.
He goes to Jofiel.
Yeah.
And this is where we go, again, what is going on here? It's this brightly lit room that he's walking down a hallway, and you like see the light coming out of the room. He's like,
yeah,
you know, get in here. And this is some lady who's with a British accent is like,
that.
Let him go.
Yeah.
He's innocent.
That's right. That's where it comes from.
And he's like, but the jury, she's like, they did not decide, because the jury's like, there is no decision. And then he goes back. Before he's like, you need to be cleaned to see the surgeon. And then we see him get cleaned.
All right, so let's talk about that.
I described the first one. You can describe this one. Because I don't want to talk about it.
So... this is the worst thing in the movie.
Yeah.
After everything we've described. The same naked, wrinkly ladies from before who we assumed it seemed like we're like eating the other guy, but then it turned out we
didn't know
they
what.
just like took his clothes off. That's it. And that's like he was screaming because they took his clothes off. No, don't take my clothes away. No. So what they're doing is they take this dude's clothes off.
Okay, just go. Yeah.
And
they show this. They show all this in graphic detail.
They lick him,
tongue bathe,
head to toe. And as they're doing it, they're spitting into a jar.
Well, first they have like a necklace with like a little bit, like a little bit, and then they're pouring that
into a thing. And once they've salivated him,
licked his hairy chest and body,
his face and nose.
Oh yeah,
between his toes, and then once they've got enough spit
of this juice,
one of them takes it, gets all up on top of him. The other ones hold his head down and hold his mouth open.
Fingers hooked in his mouth.
And they pour.
Well, what do they say? What do they say?
You must be clean on the inside too. And they pour it into his mouth. It is so gross. It's the grossest fucking thing ever.
You could be ripping legs off.
I don't even care.
Skinning them alive.
Take people's intestines, play jump rope with them. It doesn't matter to me. That was the most disgusting thing. Oh,
and then at the very end,
and he's gargling, choking it down.
And it's not water. They had some kind of thick, viscous liquid that at the end, all of a sudden, this big chunk of like white fat just bubbles like plop in there. It was
horrible.
I'm not showing any of that, by the way. no one's. Maybe I'll
gotta leave something to the imagination.
I'm gonna just like flash it like subliminally. Like, you know? This is like a Fight Club. Like when I splice together the film ridge. Did I just see a penis in there?
No.
But through all this, he pulls his arm out and I guess beats his way out of there, which you don't see, and then he escapes. Yeah, I don't. Again, it's like what is innocent, what is guilty. I don't know. So I guess he just goes home. They go investigate the house. He calls his brother in the middle of the night. They go there and the house is empty. Mm-hmm. So and then he goes home, and he fucks his wife, sort of, but then he can't because.
Thinking about
he's seeing the Cenobites and stuff. Yeah. And before that, he falls asleep in the bed and dreams about the Cenobites, where they put an Iron Maiden style mask on him backwards. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Well, they put it on him towards the camera. It's facing this way, but they have to put it on this way. So it's another one of those like, you guys fucked up again. And then they pour hot stuff on him and then whatever.
Yeah. Oh, they have like his eye holes or something. Yeah. Right.
The chattering, that one's doing it. Tries to fuck his wife. That doesn't work out. He goes out drinking, thinks he sees a Cenobite following him, and then gets beat up by a random homeless guy who's actually maybe a Cenobite with a ripped face. There's a lamb, a lemon configuration being pulled out of a lamb because, God.
Something.
And titties are there again. Brother picks him up because he's drunk and then takes him home, takes him inside of his house to go shower up. And his brother sees the Tale of Two Cities book. He's like,
oh shit, he's been talking about this.
Yeah, maybe I should read the first page. It's the best times and worst times. And then in there's two lines in the first page that he highlighted and underlined. One was not, the underline wasn't good enough. The highlighting was not good enough. I had to highlight and underline it. There's 2 lines in there that the killer had used in letters.
Right.
So you're like, what is, And then now the other 2 detectives team up against, the guy teams up against his brother, basically, the girl. There's some stock footage in here of like freeways.
Yeah.
Like aerial footage. And I'm pretty sure it was the wrong frame rate because it was really choppy. And I'm like, good job. Again, like, how do you fuck that up? I don't know. If I even show it, I don't even know if it'll show it properly. Just when you watch the movie, this scene, there's like, nothing's moving.
The fucking frame rate. This is going to be
right. As I'm saying, so like it didn't work. It's like that was a bad stock footage to show. So here's the phone in the throat, the GPS. Do you want me to do that one? So the girl that they killed with the dog inside.
Her phone was found in her throat.
Because she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth.
Right.
So the idea was like take this expensive item and shove it down her esophagus. It had GPS on it. The phone died. He says, "Oh, she wasn't killed in her apartment. She was killed somewhere else."
Right.
The
GPS coordinates.
How do they find that out, Ryan? How do they find out the phone? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how they do. Because he makes a joke and says, oh, she's rich. She was rich, or she was spoiled brat, right? It was an iPhone 7. I still have an iPhone 4. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
So the medical examiner's like, oh, this rich brat had this thing that, like, I can't even afford. He's like, nobody has one of those.
I mean, that's an iPhone 7. I still got a 4.
Then the very next line, he says,
yeah, one of the kids here has the same model, so we managed to power the thing up.
Yeah.
Again, if you're going to make a big deal about, like, oh, this rich person's phone, who has one of those?
Why do we have to do all that? Why couldn't it just been like, here's the phone?
Because then he literally just says, well, we were able to power it on because one of the kids around here has the same model and was able to plug it in and turn it on.
Why are you adding unnecessary detail?
But also, you literally just contradicted yourself. Like, nobody has this phone.
Except for this other person.
Except for this other person we work with, the person right here.
Right.
So nobody has one of these except this guy right here. Fucking, ugh. I mean, did you not? Editing.
Also, why can't it just be like, phone, clue, here? Why does it have to be like, it's a different phone than the phone that I have, and not everybody has these phones, but this person did have this phone, and they had a charger for it, and we charged it up, and we were able to turn it back on.
I mean, I guess the medical examiner was just an interesting character actor. They wanted him to get more time so he could hit on the detective lady.
He could wear a Hawaiian shirt again.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was going to tell you. I don't know. It could be fine. So then they go to the warehouse, which is the lair of the bad guy, and they find the room. It has pictures of all the victims, and the last one has a red sheet, literally duct tape to the wall. There's like 2 pieces of electrical tape, duct tape, the gray stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, it's duct tape.
Duct
right?
tape.
Not electrical tape, but duct tape, right?
It's duct tape.
DUC tape. He has that taped to some bricks, and then he pulls it off, and it's a picture of his brother fucking his wife.
Yeah.
And then he hits the girl detective in the face. So, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Ooh, big spoiler, really. Well, you know, dun dun dun. But why did he cover that picture up in his own lair? That's gonna be his next victim. Who's he hiding it from?
The movie's dumb, but...
Well, maybe it is stupid, but it's also dumb.
Can I give you an opportunity to make fun of me for how dumb I am?
Okay, what?
Because when he does that and you see that picture, I'm like, oh, the younger brother was fucking the girl in the hotel. Oh, so that means something. It means, what does it mean?
Okay, no. You're not that stupid. My first thought was, his brother's gonna be the next victim.
Yeah.
And they, you know what
because
I mean?
like he sinned with the lady.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was
Or it's just gonna be like the, you know, because this case has been breaking this guy for a long time. I didn't immediately think that he was the bad guy until he hit her in the face.
Right.
For real, by the way.
Yeah.
He accidentally, they're like, go like this, or it might have been the one on the ground. The gun they had, the magazine ejected and hit her in the face, and he felt bad. So there's an outtake reel. I noticed she had something on her eye. I thought her makeup was bad.
Shit.
Turns out they had to CG out the bruise under her eye.
How you guys know all this?
Jesus.
For the stuff they shot afterwards, and she's like, I'm fine, but, you know, it's just an accident. But, hey, that's good CG. I didn't know they were CGing her bruise out, so there's money well spent on some special effects. Or they should have just said, like, yeah, you're tough, you got a black eye, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I thought, like, maybe it was just, like, the next victim's gonna be the brother and the wife.
Yeah.
To fuck with this guy or something, you know, but, no, he's the bad guy. I forgot one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie earlier. The auditor goes to see Pinhead after he talks to the angel. And he's like, she said to let him go. And Pinhead's like, let him go.
Yeah.
And the auditor's like, whatever. When he first approaches Pinhead's chair, do you remember this?
Yeah, the chatter Cenobite is like a dog almost. He's like
a guard dog. But what happens is Pinhead just goes, no. Like, he like scolds the chattering Cenobite. He's fine. So what is that relationship then?
Maybe there's a difference between Cenobites and what other people are.
The auditor, though,
he might be like a damned soul or something.
It's just funny because him and Pinhead are like you said, that's a supervisor. They talk a lot. Like, he's his confidant. Yeah. He gives him advice.
He doesn't wear any leather, though.
You're right. He wears this like a little suit, like a bloody suit. But everyone else has leather. Yeah, but it's just funny how the chatter is like, I'm the guard dog here. And he's like, no. Fucking funny.
That was good. He should have at least let me put my finger in his mouth.
He just walked up like this. Oh no, it was these two or something like that. It's like, yeah, he proceeds to beat up the chick. He breaks his own neck. This is like his brother is looking up the quote of like God will judge the righteous man and the wicked man, I think is what it is. Which is how he finds the Wikipedia page, whatever it is. Some preacher or preceptor.
Preceptor.
Yeah.
Oh.
Preceptor.
We never looked it up.
And and I like it because he searches it on a search engine. Yeah. Who called his wife? Did the brother? Because he's like, you wouldn't call backup on your own brother. So who called the wife? Did he call his own wife, or did the brother call the wife as backup to help deal with him?
I have no idea.
Because the wife shows up at the warehouse. He's like, come on in, sweetie. How does she fucking know to get upstairs in this place?
Because it wasn't the bad guy that called her because he wanted a hostage, or
that's what I'm saying. Who called him? His actual husband.
The bad guy did. The bad brother.
But like they're in a room where they went under a door, through a warehouse, upstairs, across to another room through another roof, and then she shows up on a door there. Which I'm like, how did she get to that door? Like, honey, I'm gonna be at this warehouse. You know the place, right? It's like, go out, climb a rusty ladder. You'll know how to find me there. And she had no problem. She's like, yeah, I know where you're at. Your lair, your man cave that you've been using, you know? And then this is where he goes, I hate cell phones. I hate social media. Yeah. I want to rain down fire and hell on everybody.
Just like a grumpy old man.
Yeah. So you kill a bunch of people because you don't like technology, which, I mean, I don't blame you, but why did you have to kill everybody? He's going to use the Lament configuration to torture his wife and his brother. I've got things planned for you. Or,
no, he uses it because...
No, but when he... Okay. But that's the question here.
Right.
So he's like, you don't even know what I have planned for you.
Yeah.
Right? But then he has them to open the box. Not him. They have to open the box together. And of course, they just know how.
They just figure it out.
They figure it out.
I've seen the movies.
Yeah, in this world, Hellraiser is part of the mythos and everything. But then when this goes back to Hellraiser 2, I think. This is very much like 2. Let's make a deal. Oh, you remember?
Well, yeah, you can't pass up a deal. I can't pass up a deal. I'm going to torture the shit out of you. But wait a minute, hear my offer. Oh, I'm intrigued.
You know I am a gambling man. Give it to me, you know? Yeah, the chains and everything come down, very reminiscent of like the first and actually like the third movie. There's like the spinning pillar with the skin on it. It's like all the stuff from like the old Hellraisers you remember. It's here now, cool. And he says, oh, I came to, I knew you were going to come for me. He says to Pinhead, like, I knew you guys were going to come get me eventually. So what I did was I got these 2 adulterers, and I'm going to trade them 2 for me. And Pinhead's literal...
He's like...
No, the literal quote is, there's no deal to be made.
Yeah.
Or the Auditor comes in and goes like, and he tries to open the box, like, that's not going to be any use to you now. Like, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're here, you ain't getting out. We don't give a shit about them. There's no deal.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's like, oh, shit, I'm fucked, right?
I like though that they said something specific, like, are you like them? Like, what are we gonna do with them? You, on the other hand, ooh.
Right. But it kind of also doesn't make any sense because he says like their pettiness is below me, right? But then he proceeds to chain them through the spine, drag them out of the room.
That's true.
So rather than just like go home, he's like, well, I don't care about them.
But yeah, I thought I was gonna let him go. But
yeah,
I'm not just gonna let him go either.
But then what did he? Oh god, I write it down. He wrote, he says, we will afford them an experience in your brother's name. Or he's like, they will be afforded an experience beyond their limits in your name.
Right.
So it's like for you. But then at one point he tells them, the lame brother is like, what's going on here? And he goes, silence. You should bow in your brother's, like, all this work that he's done.
Your brother's a massive sack of shit. You have some respect.
He's like, you should be bowing for all the terrible, look at this guy. He's killed all these people. It's amazing.
You haven't killed anybody.
Yeah. But then he proceeds to just, like, hook him and drag him out. And it's like, what? I thought they were just cool. Whatever.
Angel time?
Then he hooks up the bad guy.
Yeah.
And now we're into Angel... Confrontation. I don't know. You want to take this away and just...
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like... All right. So this is, again, like, Hellraiser, I guess, now is...
Actually, I really like the idea of this.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting idea.
This is Preacher for me. This is not Hellraiser, but...
This is absolutely Preacher.
That's okay.
And Gary Tunnicliffe, the writer-director, is strongly an atheist. He he was doing an interview, and he started saying agnostic. He goes, wait, no, not agnostic, atheist. The producer, very religious person, was like, I don't agree with this, but it's your movie. I want you to do, like, I need you to do what you need to do to make this movie the movie, right? And so he's like, I know this is very touchy for the guy who I'm friends with and everything, but, like, it has to be done. So the guy was able to overlook, like, this subject, this idea.
So she basically says this guy's off limits, and because he is...
Oh, sorry. Before we go any further, the whole thing with the Auditor, Pinhead, this whole hierarchy, and what's happening in this scene, one of the phrases he used was like, it's like The Office, but in hell.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Scott, Jim, and, you know, it's that, but imagine a hell version of this.
Yeah.
That's what all is. So take it away.
It should have been the whole movie, that.
He's like, I imagine, remember the paperwork? Like the second thing? I imagine there's like a whole room with just like people typing and like doing paperwork and going like, hey, did you get case number 7555? Let me get to the filing cabinet. I gotta find this fucking guy, like.
One of the Hellraiser comic book short stories, like the whole point, I don't know if it was called Killing Your Babies, but like the idea of like as a creative person, you have to kill your babies.
Right.
That was the whole point, but with Hellraiser. So it's like a guy who like meticulously puts this like child, this baby together, and he's like typing and like or something, and then he gives it to like a Cenobite or whatever, and he's like, oh, this is really good, it's a real nice baby that you made, but hang on, and then just starts mutilating and pulling an eye out and cutting a finger off it. But it has that same kind of...
Is this the one where they feed it to the clowns or whatever?
No, that's a different one. That's a different guy. Yeah, that's the clown that needs to entertain. Hey, the comic books are really good. Can I plug?
Hellraiser comics.
I did a video on the 90s Hellraiser comics, and if you've not read any of that stuff, it's really cool.
I did talk about that in the very beginning of the video.
So she says this guy's off limits because we like him. He's cool. He's doing really awful shit, but he's gonna make people like turn their eyes to God.
Yeah.
Because he's, inspiring fear.
Don't be sinful.
Right,
don't be
right. Old Testament shit.
Yeah.
Kind of style thing.
But the implication there, and the phrase that Pinhead uses, it's sin ordained by heaven.
Yeah, sin ordained by heaven, right. So again, that kind of preacher thing going on there, and there's something else that
because he says like you want to push them to he wants to push the flock to him.
Right.
So the idea is that, and she says to him, well, if there's going to be evil, why aren't we the ones doing it? That way we can control the evil. Right. And so, and then this is where the religious stuff comes in. It's like, heaven's like, well, we want to scare people to believe in God and to be afraid of hell. So what better way to do that than to be the one who manages hell? That way we're in control. Hell doesn't get out of, it doesn't get too big for its britches. Right. We keep it right where we want it, just enough to scare people to I'm a jealous God and golden calf, all that shit. I need the people to worship me because I'm so sad and I just want everyone to love me. So I'm going to have these bad guys do some really fucked up shit just to remind people that I'm the good guy here. Right. And Pinhead does not like that. Yeah. And what does she say? She send him back, and then they send him back, right? And Pinhead sends him back, and literally he wakes up in his body, and the girl detective just wakes up. Yeah. And then they're like, they point their guns at each other, and she shoots him. Right. And kills him.
Angel sees that, doesn't like that.
But what's funny, though, is that before he goes back, the angel, I guess it's an angel, right?
We're assuming.
I mean, it's the person. It's the angel.
She's wearing all white and blonde, and she's blonde and white and beautiful. So she must be an angel.
Well, she's the angel who kicked them out of the Garden of Eden. Yeah. So that's Jophiel is again. I don't know enough about this stuff, but that's the one who kicked them out of Eden.
I went to Sunday school. I didn't know that.
Okay.
I just think God was like, get the fuck out,
leave. And then to Felicia, he said, goodbye. So yeah, he goes back and she's like pissed off because she goes, oh, you knew that was going to happen. Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. So what happens before he gets sent back? He goes, haha, I'm a good guy. You want me to go do your bidding? She's like, oh, no, you're fucking terrible.
Right. You're a murderer. Once you're done, you're totally going to hell.
She's like, well, we just like what you're doing for now. Yeah. You will be judged. And he's like, but to judge the wicked and the righteous? She's like, yeah, you will be judged when your time comes. And so then he gets sent back and gets killed immediately. And then she gets mad because Pinhead's like, or she's like, you knew you're going to get him back right now. But then I go like, is he going to go back to, if he's going to hell, Pinhead is not the devil.
I don't know.
Right? Pinhead is not punishment. Pinhead is pleasure and experimentation. I don't know where this fits in. And
both. I mean, that's the whole, that was originally that was the whole point of Hellraiser, is the line between pain and pleasure is
Yes, but the idea that is this actual, because he says like you'll be reborn, when the surgeon thing, it's like you will be reborn in an eternity of agony. But they like that,
right?
Sort of. But I get.
Is sort of, I mean, if you want to get.
I get, because the whole thing with Frank was like, I rip his skin off, and Frank's like, you have no idea how good things feel once your skin's been ripped off. Like, I get the idea, like, the original Hellraiser shit was like, go through all this torturous pain stuff to find out what real pleasure is. Because you only know real pleasure if you've been through all this torturous shit.
If you want to get, like, real Catholic with it, like, go Dante's Inferno and that kind of stuff, the idea is that it's not like, oh, you did bad things, now you're regretting it in hell. I mean, you are, but, like, you want your punishment. Like, you are so guilty, like, that you are, like, yes, please, like, do this to me. Like, this is, I mean, yeah. Like, Purgatory, really fascinating. Like, in Dante and the this is Inferno, Purgatorio, Paradiso. Paradiso is really fucking boring. Heaven's really fucking boring.
Yeah.
So at Purgatory, you decide when you're done.
Oh.
Maybe it's 100,000 years. But you decide.
Yeah.
And then when you don't feel like have done your bit, then you're like, cool, I can go to heaven now.
Oh, okay.
It's not like somebody says like, okay, you've done your time. So there's a lot of this like.
But again,
I know I'm not saying that's what the movie's doing, this idea that like you deserve this, it's your reward.
Well, I mean, yeah, he does like you do deserve this. This is your reward because part of it was that, like with Frank was he had sex with everyone he could and any way he could and like killed people during sex, like whatever. There was nothing left to get him hard basically. So it's like what's left is like this crazy experiment of like pain. And while it might not feel good, it's actually what you need.
Right.
Because you nothing else excites you. Even if it's just pleasure, it's not pleasure. It's just excitement. It's an adrenaline junkie. Like it's dangerous. You could almost die, but that's the rush they're looking for. This is the same thing. This is painful and it hurts a lot, but it's what they need.
It's also the idea of self-destruction. Not necessarily for him, but it's like when you do something and you're like, well, yeah, you knew that. Yeah. Come on, you knew it was going to happen.
Right.
You wanted this.
Right. But that's when it's like evil finds evil or evil seeks out evil. I'm just like, I didn't think this was evil. I thought this was supposed to be, you don't think you want to be tortured, but you do.
Right, yeah.
And once I murder you and you're reborn into agony forever, you're going to like it.
Yeah.
But it's going to hurt like hell before you get there, so I don't know.
And you get into the comics, all that kind of stuff. There's one where the guy ends up falling in love with his Cenobite. Like, there's a comic where he, I remember this. It was like this story where he's like, and then he finds out basically she's like, I don't give a shit about you.
Right, I think I read that one too.
And it's like, it's not just break his heart that he's been tortured. Like, he's into that. Like, it's that it's complete apathy when it comes to anything other than, the job.
But yeah, at this point, the killer's dead. The brother and the wife are just gone because they've just been taken away. So she's like, calls from back and she's like, oh, I got the Perceptor. And then, we're done with the detective story. There's no more of that shit. But the whole thing with so go back to the suffering thing. She's like pissed and he's like, lady, get the fuck out of my face, basically. She's like, you're going to suffer. And he goes, suffer? Me? Like, what did she say?
How do you make me suffer? I am made of suffering.
She says to him, there's going to be hell to pay. And he goes, hell to pay?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, he's like, I love suffering. I want to share it with other people. That's my whole thing. And then he like chains her. And she's like, do you know who I am? Yeah. Do you know what's going to happen to you? Is there like a mortal physical meat body for an angel? Like, when he tears her apart, does that matter? Will she just be, does she now go to heaven where she already was?
I would tell you this.
This is why none of this stuff makes any sense.
One day you're going to get a video about Hellboy comics. And in Hellboy,
I was supposed to lead off with that. I forgot about that.
Much to do with hell and all that business. There are multiple realities of being, and you can have a physical body and have that die, but you can also have like a soul torn asunder.
Yeah.
And then there's a line where like, I'm dead. I don't know what I am now. I guess this is like my soul,
right?
But I can have violence inflicted upon me. I don't know. I'm gonna let them chop my head off and see what happens. And he's like, what do you think would happen to me? And they're like, I don't know. Like there's always like some other.
But won't it like hurt or yeah?
Don't
but
know.
You said,
you just into the abyss.
Like you just keep getting killed over and over again. Like how's that?
Like what's the one thing that's like worse than, or just like what's the one thing that's worse than like I'm dead and now I'm in an afterlife? What if somebody took your soul, tore it into 10 million pieces, well, then you just wouldn't be anything. You would be like turned into energy. You would be annihilated.
Right, but would you still have like a conscious to think?
No,
like,
but that's the point. Like you'd just be you'd be nothing.
Kind of like the idea of
gone.
you're dead and just something.
Right. Yeah. Do you get it?
I don't know.
Good job, Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah. It's like. Okay, so yeah, but okay, so this is it's pretty lame. It's pretty fucking lame. I'm all into him like chaining up this lady and sticking pins in her forehead and whatever that was supposed to be.
Yeah, he starts. Yeah, right.
I was like, maybe he's like 6 numbers, mark of the beast. I don't know, whatever. But he rips her. But before he rips her in the face, she says, "Jesus wept."
Jesus wept.
And I'm like, when Frank said it,
it was cool.
Jesus wept.
It was
yeah.
You know, does that nasty thing, and just was like, you just wanted to do the homage.
You just wanted to
it
do
didn't
it,
feel, but I don't know if there was, because she does work with Jesus probably. So is she saying?
No, they just said it.
And then here comes the auditor, smart guy, going, "Do you think that was a good idea?
Right.
Maybe we shouldn't have done that." Fuck you, what I'm Pinhead, you know, this is my domain, whatever. And he's just like, you know, there are worse things than like punishment and what is it called, like pain and stuff. He's like, you know, being banished back to the mortal realm.
Right.
And all of a sudden, church bells and bright light, and Pinhead goes, "Oh, I don't want one of these things."
Oh, I completely fucking forgot about this.
So, and I'm like, so it says church bell tolls, and you hear it, and Pinhead's like reeling a little bit, and it gets really bright, and you know, there's like fake clouds and lightning or whatever, and then there's like a homeless guy in an alley who's bald, who's Paul Taylor, the actor, and he has, you know, because Pinhead has the lines, he has like a quarter of that. It's like some here, and he's a regular mortal man with no pins in, but he's got cut up face, and he's like, "No, the suffering, my sweet suffering," you know. And that's the end of the movie. The idea that like Pinhead got turned back into a human as punishment.
We say back into a human because we assume this is still a continuation.
Right.
Of, like Jesus.
He's not Doug Bradley human. He's a different guy. But, and this is like I don't quite. I'm asking the question. I don't understand. I'm not being mean. Like, what suffering and pain is it specifically that he likes or needs? Like, does he enjoy? Does he get off on other people's suffering? Because he's already got the pins in his head.
You gotta do an audit on him.
Like, yeah, but like, is he tearing his own flesh off, going, "Oh, that fucking hurts. I'm gonna do it. Oh, I did it again. I'm gonna pop that blackhead. I'm gonna get in. Oh, that hurt." You know, like, what does Pinhead get out of this? Is it his own pain? Is it other people? Is he excited to share the pleasure of suffering with others? That's what he says. But him as a mortal, not immortal, not immortal. He can still have pain and suffering as a person.
I would say since you sound like you're asking a serious question,
he's not in charge
I'll try to
anymore.
answer it seriously. So,
and I think the director actually answered it. It was the idea of being stripped of your power.
Well, okay, there you go. That's not what I was gonna say.
But like, what do you want to like?
Well, I was just gonna say, like, if you were an angel, for instance.
Yeah.
Like, the humans are like. Remember when he was like, "Oh, we're gonna give these people some pain beyond their limit" or whatever. Like, you have a limit. Like, a human being has a limit of their sensory whatever. And that goes for everything.
Yeah.
So, like, if you go to heaven, you'll experience more joy and pleasure and divinity
can't even imagine.
Than you can even imagine, right? And ditto for hell.
Just like the power of love can make a cube in space of your house
right.
that you can travel in time with and change gravity.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Sounds like something someone should write.
I feel like we learned something.
I like Interstellar. Anyways, so my question to you is, if you want to banish him to the mortal realm and make it whatever, wouldn't a rich, cushy life be worse? Because the homeless, poor, disgusting stuff is what he likes.
Yeah.
Make him a preppy rich guy with, like, wearing a bow tie. He'd be like, fucking hate this, you know? Like,
but they ran out of money, so.
Yeah.
That was easier.
Yeah. Well, I guess the original idea was to wake him, like, he just wakes up, like, naked in an alleyway, all fucked up, and then some police find him, and they're like, call an ambulance. You know, I get the joke there. It's like, okay, you lost your power. You don't get to be like, you don't get to live forever. Maybe this guy's gonna die, and then when he just go to hell at that point, and then go back kind of. Cyclically, I don't know. I again, don't think too hard about it.
Not in the comic books that we talked about, But in a later series that actually Clive Barker was more involved in, and it picks up after like the second movie. It's a whole fucking thing, and he does he gets to be human. He gets back on Earth. He does it on purpose. He starts helping like the survivors of the Hellraiser movie.
Well, I mean, remember at the end,
because he's like, well, I'm human now, so like we're gonna, But then it turns out, spoiler, like it was all part of his plan, and he's gonna create hell on Earth, and like
Hell on Earth. There you go. The third
and then
movie.
Kirsty,
Kirsti. K-I-R-S-T-I, Kirsty.
She actually becomes a Cenobite.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But going back to the second movie, that's the part where she makes that deal with him or whatever, and then like the penis head guy kills Pinhead, and he turns into a person. He's like, "Thank you," or you know what I mean? Like there is this weird. I don't quite know.
Weird. Hellraiser. Judgment.
That's all I got. That's everything. You should, if you're really interested in Hellraiser, if you're still listening to us, I mean, God. Midnight's Edge is a YouTube channel. They had like a 4-part podcast, so like 4 hours long. A lot of the stuff I was talking about with the writer-director tells stories about making the movie and budgets and all stuff. They have a podcast with the writer-director. And it's basically him talking for 4 hours. There's like barely any questions asked by the guys who host the podcast. It's just this guy talking forever. And it's one of those things where I kind of put it on just to kind of like start listening to it. And next thing I know, an hour had gone by. And I'm like, all right, I got to listen to all this shit. It's actually really fascinating. He gives like advice to like filmmakers and like how to start and like what you should do and everything like that. It's like, the studio comes to you and goes, hey, you want to direct the 10th Hellraiser movie? And you're like, yeah. And everyone's like, are you fucking stupid? Why would you do that? And he goes, I'll sit in a room like at a convention and go, how many of you aspiring filmmakers, if someone said, hey, you want to direct the Hellraiser movie, you're going to go, no, I'm waiting for my big break.
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah, you're going to, I will direct the Hellraiser movie.
It was smart because he showed some chops. I mean, like, the movie's not great.
Right.
But
it's better than Jack and the Beanstalk. Or Hansel and Gretel, which are some other movies he directed a long time ago.
But there's some good stuff in it. And, like, keep going, Dude, the weird things that I enjoyed, embrace that. Yeah. Do more of that. Find more opportunities to do that stuff.
Which I think it's funny because like he talks about writing the script and the studio execs were like, he needs to have this or so. The whole thing was like, why does Dimension need the rights? Why do they keep doing this just to retain the rights? Because they think, one day we're gonna get the Hellraiser reboot.
Probably still makes money somehow. I mean, like this home video release probably. $350,000 plus no marketing. Like,
right.
I mean, it probably made money.
Send out some copies to some YouTube channels and get reviews. But the idea is to retain the rights. Like we're gonna make this big Hellraiser movie one day, And when he's like, but the studio execs are like, no weird leather, porny, sadomasochism. And it's just like, that's
the whole point.
They want to turn him into Freddy Krueger.
Right.
They want a slasher flick. I mean, nobody who works at Hellraiser wants
Basically,
that.
we'll never get Hellraiser like the way we'd like it.
And he was like, just do like $3-5 million. Yeah. Just make a really good version of this. You probably will make your money back and get back at least in the pantheon of like, hey, this really good horror movie. It's probably not in theaters because it's going to be, but for
what the fuck do you even do with that?
Well, because the marketing budget to get.
Horror doesn't even live in theaters anymore,
But to get enough money back in theaters, you'd have to market it, and to market it, you got to spend enough money. You're probably not, but like $3 to $5 million to produce it and put it on Blu-ray and get a little bit of marketing, for video on demand or iTunes or whatever the fuck it is. You probably would make your money back, but you would also be like, Hellraiser's back, baby, and you get a lot of good press.
Yeah, and the direct-to-video market.
And it isn't like I said, this movie was $350,000.
Right.
The first Hellraiser movie was $1 million. It said adjusted for inflation and everything like that. It's like the budget between this one and the first one is something like 20 times difference, right, or something like that. That $1 million in 1980, whatever it was, is like for a movie production, it's like $5 million now. So think about that. It's about what you need to make a good Hellraiser movie.
Great special effects, great score.
Scores, whatever.
I love the score for Hellraiser.
Oh, no, this one you mean?
Oh, no, I don't remember the music at all.
There is no music.
This kind of money goes towards like having a memorable score. Or at least just use your fucking score. You have the score. I'm assuming they have the rights to it. Why don't they just use it?
Yeah.
It's like old-fashioned. They don't like it anymore. That sounds old. It sounds like it's from the 80s.
But just that, like, there's not going to be this miraculous Clive Barker returns with, Gore Verbinski directing the Hellraiser reboot because Hellraiser is such a gross taboo thing that it's never going to be Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger. It can't. But
it could live on.
I mean, Cult of Chucky did not get a theatrical release, but Cult of Chucky got a lot of press or like, hey man, he's back.
Ditto for because
the last one was terrible.
I actually heard
Curse of Chucky was like whatever.
I heard it wasn't good, but I'm gonna watch it anyway. Leatherface. So they're still making.
Oh yeah.
But they got.
He said it was like the execs telling you make a Texas Chainsaw with no chainsaw.
Right.
Like that was the notes that were about like how to make this
right
family friendly, but you know, mainstream, I guess you could say.
Right.
That just no. But I would actually like a $10 million Hellraiser movie. Get rid of the leather and the titties and all that stuff, and just make him a slasher. I don't care. That would still be cool too.
Yeah.
Just yes, a better version would be more of the weird shit. But if it was just more like the 6th, 7th, 8th movies. Where it was not anymore part of that, I could take that.
I want to see more like...
Not like 5 with the fucking hands inside the body.
Get out of the States. Like, you go back to the very first movie, and he's like... I don't know where he is. You know, get around the world, you know? Like, show me something there. Show somebody find it. Go back in the past. Show, you know, like, anything like that would be cool. I want to say something that has nothing to do with Hellraiser. If you really want to... If you're aching for a good Hellraiser movie... It's not a Hellraiser movie.
Okay.
But it felt a lot like one, and it felt very inspired by Hellraiser, and I think it was much more fucked up and better than this one was. Even though there's stuff in this one that I like.
Get to it. Skip to the end.
Skip to the end.
Okay, there's a movie streaming on Netflix. It's a Turkish horror film called Baskin, Baskin, and people had talked about it a little bit last year, and it's good. I don't know. It's not a great movie, but it's fucked up. And it's very hellish and very
That's
like...
all you need.
Honestly, when people are coming to a Hellraiser franchise, it's kind of what they're looking for. If you're looking for a very like edgy, very... I watched it to test what my tolerance was for extreme stuff. Because I haven't really been watching that kind of stuff lately, and I don't want to watch it again. But
I don't want to watch it again.
But it had a lot of really interesting visuals, and it was crazy and fucked up and creepy and weird. So Baskin, I would check out Baskin.
This is like that video of that kid in the wheelchair at the
Rubber Johnny.
Rubber Johnny, is that what it's called?
Is that what you're talking about? Music video thing?
Yeah, that music video.
Yeah, that's
Can you find that on the internet?
Yeah.
So look at Rubber Johnny.
Rubber Johnny. That's it's a famous film. That's the guy that did like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I forget his name.
I don't know.
All right, that's it. I want to stop. Can we be done?
We're done. I think that sums up Hellraiser Judgment. What would you get it out of 5? Out of 5 hooks and chains, how many does it get?
I give it 3. I give it 3.
I give it 3. I give it 3 out of 5. It's how many out of 10?
6.
I would get like a 6.3.
Yeah.
How many out of 100?
That's 100's like 10, so it's just like 60.
66?
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
How much out of 1,000? 666?
Yeah, that's what I was getting for. Mark of the Beast. That's it for Hellraiser Judgment. It's worth watching.
We can do this for Tremors? Yeah?
For Tremors, I'm going to sit there and this is going to be an hour of music going like this. Ooh,
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
ooh, yeah.
Tune in next time for Kyle jerking off to the next Tremors movie.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Go watch Judgment. If you like Hellraiser, go watch Judgment. It's worth it. It's not great.
Maybe don't buy it. Maybe buy it. Depends on who you are. Watch it. Worth a watch. You like Hellraiser, you should watch it.
Don't pirate it.
Don't pirate it.
Get it from Redbox. Get it from Netflix.
Yeah.
Watch it. If there was like, and I don't think there is, besides maybe a gag.
I saw like half the movie watching this video.
Deleted scenes and like gag reel. I don't think there's any like real big special features on the disc, the Blu-ray. So there's nothing as far as incentive like, go out and buy it and get like the special edition. There isn't one, unfortunately. So
not even a steelbook either. So,
but if you want to go listen to 4 hours of the director talking about it, which is like a commentary, go to Midnight's Edge YouTube page, check out their podcast on it, and that's it for us.
All right. Good night.
Thank you for being with us. Good night.